H-1B cap season is here. Last week, which was January 27th, USCIS announced that the H-1B cap season, the initial registration period would start at noon Eastern Time on March 1 and will run through Eastern Time, March 17, 2023. We're talking about the 2024 H-1B cap season. Employers and prospective beneficiaries, they can take advantage of this season, of this H-1B cap registration time period to really apply for the H-1Bs for the year 2024 using the USCIS portal. Hello and welcome to Thursdays Live with Chugh. My name is Neha Mahajan. I'm the Business Development and Outreach Manager here at Chugh LLP, attorneys and CPAs. And please join me in welcoming attorney Jacqueline Valle from our LA office and also Executive Director Carmen Lopez, both from our LA offices. Hi there, ladies, and welcome.
Hi, Neha. Hi, everyone.
Hello, everyone. Happy to be here. Thank you, Neha, for the introduction.
Yeah, absolutely. So the H-1B cap season is here. We're going to be talking all about it, and just want to mention that we are live simultaneously on YouTube, Facebook, and LinkedIn. So wherever you're watching us, make sure that you like this, share this with people who want to know more about the H-1B cap season, because the next 30 minutes we're going to be dedicating to all of it. We'll be talking about tips and tricks and secrets, if there are any. So let's dive right in. But a disclaimer, the discussion today is for informational purposes only. It does not create an attorney-client relationship. If you have any questions for us, type them into the comments section and we'll be able to answer them live. If you're watching a recorded version, info@chugh.com, send us your questions there. So let's dive in. Carmen, I want to ask you this question. The H-1B program, why is this particular program so popular?
Yes, Neha, thank you so much for the question. The reason it's so popular is that it's one of the few visas, working visas that foreign nationals can file. And basically, it allows you to work up to 6 years, and it does allow extensions beyond the 6th year. And it's one of the few visas that has what is called a dual intent. A visa that allows a person to freely go stamp, extend, travel without having a problem with their without getting extensions if they file a green card. So it does require an employer to sponsor you, and it allows 6 years, 3 years at a time, and it allows you to extend beyond the 6th year, which makes it very appealing, and especially again because it's one of the very few that has what is called a dual intent.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. Coming on to the online registration system, right? It's been around for at least a couple of years. I think it was back in 2020 that the system was first introduced, like literally at the height of the pandemic. But there's so much anxiety still around this entire system. We hear complaints from clients all the time about the system. So Jackie, I want you to talk to us about it. Tell us, why is there so much anxiety around the H-1B registration system?
Sure, yeah, you're right. There is a lot of anxiety around it. As you said, it's been around for a couple of years now, but it is still a fairly new system or process. And it's different from the original process because now we're dealing with technology and tech issues that can come up. For example, there's, an online registration account that needs to be created with USCIS, and you have to make sure that you're creating the correct account. It has to be an account for H-1B registration specifically, and not a general, USCIS petitioner account. And, that account is tied to a specific company signatory. And so even just to log in, there's like multiple verification steps. They send you a code on your email or phone. And so, you're dealing with that now. You have to have a specific person that's logging into the account and doing the registrations. So if you don't know the login info or forget your password, now you have to, contact USCIS, which can take time. There can be times when the system goes down, which, makes employers nervous because we only have a certain window in which we can do these registrations.
17 days is all we have. And to tackle all of this is going to be a bit too much, especially technical issues.
Right. And then now you have to pay fees online. And so you have to make sure you're paying, inserting the correct credit card information or bank information, because any mistake could cause the registrations to be selected. So there's different issues that can come up now that weren't present before. So it's understandable that, employers or beneficiaries get nervous, but the key here is to be prepared, know the process, and make sure that you're doing everything in a timely manner.
Yeah, so, don't wait until the last minute to put your registrations in. Start working on them on March 1st, noon. I am just scared that the system's going to crash because it's so popular, right? This entire, the H-1B cap season is so popular. Within our offices, I see how attorneys are like, literally, they don't even lift their heads up during the cap season. It is that crazy, right? So yes, a little planning ahead of time definitely helps. So that brings me to my next question, Carmen. How does one plan and prepare for the H-1B cap registration season, if I may call it?
Okay, well, basically, it's based on it's an employee standpoint and employer standpoint. On an employee standpoint, they have to make sure that they find an employer, because if you don't have an employer, you cannot register. So you need an employer who's going to offer you a bona fide job. And so if it's selected, that they're going to proceed in filing the H-1B with USCIS. And from an employer standpoint, you want to make sure that the persons have the right qualifications. That they are you going to be registering as the masters or regular. But just know that first you need an employer. Without an employer, you can't do it. Number one. Two, you have to know that it starts, like you said, on March 1st. You have 17 days to register, and just don't miss the deadline, basically. So that's basically the tips that I would recommend.
Mm-hmm. Does it help if the petitioner is in the US? Because I think 20,000 slots are dedicated to master degree holders, right? Out of the, and 65,000 to non-master degree, those who have not done masters from the US. That's what I mean. So, so does it help if a prospective petitioner is in the US already?
So the petitioner has to be an employer in the U.S. The petitioner is a company that's a bona fide company with an FEI number in the United States. And there is, like you said, 65,000 for the regular cap and 20,000 for people who have earned a U.S. master's or above in the United States. But the employer cannot be located outside the United States. It must be a U.S. employer.
Okay. All right. That clears so much. Thank you for that. And now, Jackie, I'm sure clients have a lot of questions for you about this registration system, right? What are some of the most common ones? And I'm hoping some of our clients who are watching this today will benefit from it.
Yeah, so I'd say the most common question is whether a company can file multiple registrations for the same individual. And the answer to that is no. If you're one company and you're filing 2 or 3, registrations for the same person, they will be rejected, so that you're not able to do that. However, different companies can file different registrations for the same employee or same beneficiary. And so as long as it's a different company, different FEIN, tax ID number, it should be okay. I would say that we have seen issues when companies are affiliated, they have the same owner, and it's the same exact job offer, same, beneficiary, same everything. And so in that case, reach out to an attorney and make sure that, there's not going to be any issues, or there would be a way to clarify to USCIS that they weren't frivolous filings, or you're not trying to file multiple filings for the same person. In general, if it's different companies, then they are able to apply for the same person. Another common question is whether, everything needs to be set in place before or at the time of the registration, such as the job location, the degrees. That's a really common one. So the answer to that is no. At the time of registration, you don't need to have any of that figured out. However, I would say that it is important that you try to have that set as much as possible, because you don't want to, get to a place where if it gets selected and you have to file a registration, if there's any issues with the qualifications or the work location or anything like that, that could potentially cause the case to be denied, you want to know from the beginning. So it doesn't need to be set, but you should try to know that and contact your attorney to get advice on those things. For the degree, for example, it doesn't have to be finished at the time of the registration, but at the time of filing, you do have to have, the equivalent of a U.S. bachelor's degree. If you get selected under the master's cap, then you need to have a U.S. master's degree from an accredited university at the time of filing the H-1B petition.
Okay, all right. Thank you for that advice. Now, Carmen, there's a proposal underway, right? I think the comment period is ongoing for it, which is the USCIS fee increase, the infamous USCIS fee increase, if I may call it, right? It's not in effect right now, is it? Right? Because the fees is going up from $10 to $215. That's a huge jump. I mean, I think inflation has really hit USCIS hard.
It did. Yes.
So for this season, for the 2024 cap season, what fees are the employer paying?
So this year, it's expected it's going to be $10. Like you said, there is a proposed commentary period on the fee increase, but we don't anticipate it's going to affect this year for registration purposes. It's still unknown whether it may affect it for purposes of the filings later on for the actual filing fees. But for the registration fee, that is $10. And I don't think it's going to be any pushback. Employers will still continue to file their cases. They need skilled workers. There's a shortage of skilled workers here, and that's the reason why I feel that this is not going to deter them from filing cases.
Yeah, they'll do whatever it takes to get skilled workers in here, right?
Yes.
All right. For those of you who are joining us now and wondering what we're talking about the H-1B cap registration. USCIS announced on January 27th that the the H-1B cap registration would begin from noon March 1st and will run through noon Eastern Time, March 17. So, that's what we're talking about. If you have any questions related to that, please send it to us in the comment section. The discussion today is for informational purposes only, and I'm joined by attorney Jacqueline Valle and executive director Carmen Lopez, both from our LA offices. Now, Jackie, so the employers know the fees. They have the petitioner, the beneficiary, identified. What are the next steps for them, for the employer?
Sure, yeah. So once, all the employees or potential employees are identified, there is, key information that's needed for the registration that they should be gathering. The registration asks for, passport number, employee name, date of birth. And so getting, copy of the passport, employee information, name, full name, date of birth, all of those things you should be organizing and having ready. Degrees and qualifications, making sure that they have the necessary degrees and experience if necessary. And so gathering all of those documents, and then reaching out to their attorneys, again, if there's any issues or any questions about whether someone qualifies for this process or not, whether the degrees qualify, whether they need a certain amount of experience, they should be reaching out to their attorneys ahead of time to make sure that everyone that they're sponsoring will qualify and it will be approvable. And then secondly is, creating their registration account. For employers that don't have an account or haven't registered any employees before, USCIS has announced that as of February 21st, they can start creating their H-1B registrant account. So if they haven't had one yet, that's the time when they need to do it. Or if their signatory from last year left, a new person's not going to be able to log into that old person's account. So they would also need to create a new account. But definitely having the account ready and having all of the beneficiary information ready, so that on March 1st, they can go ahead and proceed with the registrations.
So, Jackie, my follow-up question is going to be, you said employers will have to create accounts for specific employees, like for each employee. For example, if they are filing, if they're registering for, say, 20 employees, will they have to create 20 different registrations? Is that how it is, or how?
No, so the employer creates one account where they can do all of their registrations. So include any employees or potential employees in there. However, the account is tied to one individual's, email and phone number from the company.
Okay.
So if you are an employer that wants different people in your company to file registrations, then each, employee within the company that's going to do registration needs to have their own account.
Okay. All right. Thank you. We have a question from LinkedIn. One of our, audience members have sent this to us. And the question is, one of my consultant was on H-1B from 2014 through 2020 and went back to India. He's planning to come back again. His I-140 is not approved. Do we need to go for lottery again, or can we directly file H-1 without lottery? Any one of you?
Okay, I could answer that, no problem. So we have to basically see if the person has completed 6 years in the United States. They do have a choice of doing two options. One is they could see how much time is left before maxing out the 6 years. If they have time left, then they don't have to register under the new lottery. They could go ahead and file right away and bring him. But also, the other option would be is if you want 6 fresh years, let's say you only have 1 year left, right? You already used up 5 and you only have 1 year left, then that's only going to be 1 year for the employer to utilize. So it would maybe make more sense to register the individual in this year's lottery, and if selected, they would have a fresh 6 years to come on. So they have those options.
Okay. All right. Thank you for that answer. I hope, that answers your question. If you have any more questions, please send them our way. Attorney Jacqueline Valle from our LA office and Executive Director Carmen Lopez are joining us. And we are talking about the upcoming 2024 H-1B CAP registrations. Now, Carmen, another question for you. Every year, the number of applications received exceeds the quota. Right? I mean, last year, I think it was upwards of 400,000, if I'm not wrong, somewhere around there, 400 or 450,000, right? For 85,000 spots, 20,000 is master's cap. What does it look like? I mean, I don't want you to open an oracle and ask them, but what is your understanding for the fiscal year 2024, Carmen?
So I feel that we are going to reach the cap for sure. Last year in 23, it was the highest filing year ever. They reached almost 500,000, over 484,000 applications they received. Now, out of that, they selected 127,600. And so how it works is that the USCIS, they look at a lot of different statistics, how many people filed, how many people got denied, how many were, did registered, but they didn't end up filing. And so then they come up with how much they're going to choose. So if you remember last year in 22, they only had one selection, right? They selected by March 31st.
Yeah.
But they didn't select no longer in July or November. But the year before that, in 21, they selected 3 times. They selected
That's
around
right.
31st of March, July 21, and November 21. So
That's right.
it was different that year. But there's been a lot of mass layoffs, especially in the tech industry right now with IBM, Amazon. And I foresee that that's going to help the medium to smaller size companies being able to have a better chance. But due to the balance of multiple registrations by employees, definitely, we're going to be up there. Maybe not 484, but we definitely reach the cap this year.
Okay. All right. Jackie, I know we've discussed this question in bits and pieces, but I would really like you to kind of bring it all together for us in a concise way. What does the H-1B cap process look like, both for employers and employees?
Yes, sure. So once either the attorney or the employer directly logs into the account, the first thing that the system will do is it'll ask for certain company information, right? So it'll ask for the company name, address, contact info, such as phone number and email. And the email address, like I said, is tied to the person that's holding the account in the company. It asks for the employer's FEIN, federal ID number. And then after that, it will ask for all of the beneficiaries' information. So they can add multiple beneficiaries or employees on that, online portal. And from the beneficiaries, they'll ask for their name, their date of birth, their passport number, and then it'll ask whether they will be applying under the bachelor's or master's cap. So it's very minimal information that the online portal will ask for each beneficiary. Once all of the beneficiaries' information has been uploaded or input into the system, then the next step is for the employer to certify that all of the information is correct. So they are certifying under penalty of perjury that all of the information is correct, and also that they do intend to, hire these employees or do have a bona fide job offer. And if you're working with an attorney or alongside an attorney, then the attorney there's an electronic handshake process wherein the attorney will send the information to the employer will verify and approve, and then at that point, the attorney can submit all of the information. And then lastly, the fees need to be paid. So it's a $10 registration fee per individual that's being registered, and you can pay with credit card or bank account information. And after that, once everything has been submitted, then the online account will reflect the cases that have been submitted for registration.
Okay. All right. And what do the employees, from their perspective, what do they need to be prepared with?
The only information that is asked from them on the online portal is their name, passport number, date of birth, and if they're applying under bachelor's or master's. So that's really the only information they need to provide from the beginning. They are not, they don't have an online account. They can't register themselves. So there's not much that needs to be done by the employee other than providing that information.
Okay. And the onus of verifying all the documents of these employees lay on the employer?
Yes, the employer or the attorney that's preparing it. But again, the employer is certifying once the case is submitted that everything is correct. So they definitely should be involved in reviewing the information.
Okay. Perfect. Another question, it's a repeat of some of the discussion we've had at the onset of the discussion today. What about substitutions, Carmen, right? With substitutions, we hear about stories on social media about one beneficiary signing up with multiple employers, really, so that their chances of getting picked up in this lottery increases, right? What are some of the rules or laws around this? Okay,
Mhm.
and is this even legal to do? I've also heard of cases where employers actually charge money from beneficiaries to be able to even put their registrations in. I mean, I
Right.
think it's a complete no-no, but I want to understand from
Right.
you.
Sure. So as Jackie had mentioned before, employers can't, if they're going to register, they can only register one registration per employee. Um, an employee can register through multiple companies. We have had situations, personally, that we have companies that are, let's say, company A and B. They're owned by common owners, and they end up filing and registering more than one case. It has led to RFEs where the USCIS wants to ensure that you're not circumventing the law. You're not really doing this to increase the chances, but you're doing it because you have actual bona fide projects. So company A has a different project, company B has a different project, then it's really okay to do. Now, also, as you asked, the employees shouldn't pay these fees. I know employers don't like the idea that employees are registering through multiple companies because they don't even come to know about it. But employees are trying to do whatever they can because they want to increase their chances of selection. And unfortunately, that is not illegal. The employees can actually register through multiple employers, um, and it's not illegal to do. Okay, so I know it's a difficult thing to accept, but that's what it is, and it's until the laws change, that's acceptable. Okay.
Okay. Okay, thank you
Mhm.
for clarifying that, Carmen. We have a question from Facebook. And the question is, can we register accounts with same address for two different companies and different FIN IDs?
I can go ahead and answer this. I would say yes. If it's a different company, different FEIN IDs, you can use the same address. However, again, you have to be able to have an explanation for that. We also have gotten RFEs where USCIS will say, this address, because they check your company address,
Right.
their own systems, and so they'll see this address is registered to another company, and so you'll have to explain how it is that you're both companies are operating independently in the same address.
Okay. All right. So you'll have to prove it. You'll have to prove that these are two unrelated companies working from the same address. But that can happen, right,
Right.
Jackie? Like in spaces like WeWork, right, or
Yeah,
common shared spaces, right? I mean,
yeah,
I think that can happen. But yeah, I mean, you'll have to
right,
prove it to USCIS.
I could add
right.
to add to that really quick is that, when you actually register, the company address could change during the actual filing, meaning that you could have one address at the time of registration, and by the time they file, they might have moved. And that's okay. That's okay to do. But in terms of WeWork, you have to have a registered address, like you said. Once you come to filing the case, um, WeWork, it depends on where's the work location on the filing of the actual petition,
Okay.
right? The CA labor condition application, which is the form that actually determines the prevailing wage, the actual physical location where the person will work. Are they going to work from a WeWork? But that's two independent things. You could use a WeWork address if that's what their registered address is,
Right.
and then at the time of filing, it might have changed. That's
Okay.
okay. Mhm.
Okay. All right. Thank you. We are in the last 1 minute of our discussion today. And I'm pretty sure this question is on a lot of employers and prospective beneficiaries' mind. Is there a magic wand? Is there any trick, any secret sauce, any secret recipe that can make it easier for both employers and prospective beneficiaries to kind of get through the H-1B cap registration and get picked up in the lottery?
I can start. I say a key thing is starting early, right? Start now. Start gathering all the information now. Create your accounts as early as possible. Have everything ready to avoid, any potential issues that could come up or delays. If you're filing something at the very last day and you insert something incorrectly, there's no way to fix it anymore. So the earlier, the better.
Okay. All right. Carmen, do you
And
want
to
to
add
add
to
to that?
that, just make sure that you have the right person who's going to be getting this phone call, the cell phone. Because when you do the two-way verification, you have to have a cell phone or an email. What is the fastest method that the employer will receive that verification code? Because we have to work together, within a very short period of time, and we have to communicate. Next is there really no secret sauce to getting a chance of getting selected. It's March 1st to March 17th. Like Jackie said, make sure you prepare on time and don't miss your deadline. But there really is no way to increase chances of selection. Okay, that doesn't exist. Making sure that once you're selected, that you have your bona fide job offer. What is it about? What is it that you're going to do? Where are you going to work? What is the wage? All of these things should be discussed in advance before even registering a case, because you register a case and then later on you find out, oh, that's too much. The wage is too much, or you don't have the right degree. So these things should be discussed in advance.
Okay. All right. Although we're 1 minute over our discussion time today. It's already 2:30 Eastern time, 11:30 Pacific time. There are two more questions. And if that's okay with the two of you, and also Francesca, our marketing manager who's helping us in the back end. Francesca, can I see a thumbs up, please? Okay, perfect. So this one question is coming from YouTube. I really don't know the answer to this, but this is a question I get in my LinkedIn inbox all the time. What do you need to get a sponsorship for a work visa in the US? Wish we all just had like a magic wand and was able to make that possible. But yes, there's a process to it.
Well, goodness, I get that question all the time also, but unfortunately we don't place people, but sometimes if you staffing agencies, you can go to staffing agencies, friends or family, go on social media, apply for positions, get your name out there. Most of the time it works through referrals. If you know someone who works somewhere and you can provide the resume, they might be able to help you find a job. There's so many different ways, but you do need an employer to file. So, start talking to your network of family, friends. Staffing agencies are a very good way. We have a lot of staffing company clients that actually sponsor people, place them, turn to staffing agencies. Sometimes they specify, they're technical staffing agencies, IT staffing agencies, where they just focus on one area.
Okay. Another question, and this is the last one that we're going to take for the discussion today. The question is, employee has to work in US too in order to be applied. I am not sure if I understand that question. So I'm going to just paraphrase it. Yeah.
I think what they're saying is, does the person have to physically be here? You can register from any location. You could be anywhere in the world and register that employee. Again, if the employer is registering or the attorney of record, both of them together, the employee could be physically outside the US. They don't need to be here to register.
Okay. All right. Thank you. And I hope it answers your questions. Thank you for sending those questions to us. With that, I would like to wrap up the discussion today. Thank you for joining us. From wherever you're joining us, it'll make me really happy if I know where you are joining us from. So if you could leave your location in the comment section, that would really make us happy. And Jackie and Carmen, thank you so much for your time. I know it's Thursday morning for you. It's started for you on a high note today. I know that. But thank you so much for your expertise. Thank you so much for spending time with me today. And for all of you, if you have any questions, info@chugh.com. That's info@chugh.com. I will see you next week, next Thursday, on whichever platform you're watching me on right now. And we'll bring in another interesting topic. See you then. Take care.
Thank you.
Thank you, everyone.
Bye-bye.